Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 97. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra. Tonight, joined by the Canardian with that infamous time zone that nobody believes is real, Mark Carabin.
I still say Newfoundland time is even more confusing. It's a half hour in front of my mystical island time. So, weird stuff.
At least change it to Adventure Time. Atlantic time is very boring. Call it Adventure Time. I think it's more fun.
Yes. I liked your Atlantis time. I think that was a pretty good one.
Okay. Well, we'll go with it. Under the sea,
Aquaman-y.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hang out with the manta rays, which is kind of this show will have a sea theme to it in a way. Even though those creatures hate water. I just don't understand this whole concept. You guys got to get me into the mythology of Splatoon.
So,
yeah.
Sticking with water for 2 seconds, there's a shark named Breton that was named after Cape Breton Island where I live. And that shark has been traveling like down the coast of the States and kind of like up towards like back towards us and stuff. And it traveled. So there's a company called O-Search that like tracks sharks and stuff like that. And it traveled in lines that kind of make the shape of a shark. It blew my mind today. I wasn't even high when I was looking at Instagram or anything. It was actual like real data from a shark. And it looks like a shark, and it's just great. So there we go.
Sharks be doing shark things. But someone that probably isn't talking about sharks, and that is our guest, Cheezy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I don't talk about sharks, but my wife loves them, so she could tell you all about them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The only time sharks get any like publicity, it's like always like the 10 times that sharks like attack someone. And then it's like after that Shark Week's over and then they go back and, into anonymity. So you never know.
Right.
But
shark tattoo.
Nice.
It's a fossilized shark tooth behind me. So.
Yeah, I mean, even during Nemo, when like fish are friends, not food, where was the press on that?
Right.
Never.
Press. Yeah.
They need better PR, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Cheezy, tell people a little bit about yourself before we get into the heart of the show.
Yeah, my name is Cheezy. I'm a Nintendo content creator and love Splatoon. So I'm very excited to be talking about it, and I can tell you more about the lore and why they can't swim and all of that stuff.
Yes.
It'll be better than my made-up lore. Like Mark knows my made-up lore about Pokemon. I'm notorious for just coming up with stuff, my own explanations,
I mean, sometimes headcanon is better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a segment on my other podcast. Yeah, we do Poketod, then we do Todd a Show on the other show I do. That's All Geek Media, where I come up with essentially what's going to happen in a movie based on a trailer, and it's completely always wrong. So, I don't know. I like my ideas better.
Nice.
Oh, well. Well, very, very good. And another way we get to know our guests a little bit better, and that's by playing a game of Buy, Return. We had 3 choices this week based on third-person shooters, and Splatoon being a third-person splooter. That's perfect. We're going with that. So we have the 3 games in the third-person shooter genre: Gears of War, Splatoon, and Fortnite. Mark is going to be torn.
I hate you so much right now.
Mark, Sophie's choice. Sometimes you've got to make tough choices. As a dad, I just fixed my mic.
Okay, all right. Cool.
NVIDIA broadcasts when it's mic, when you take out the noise, it totally screws things up for some reason. So I turned it off. Hopefully I sound okay.
Yep,
my computer doesn't sound like a helicopter taking off in the background. So back to this. So Cheezy. 3 choices. What would you buy, rent, or return?
All right, so it's probably not that exciting of an answer. Like, I feel like Mark is going to have a harder time deciding.
I hate Todd right now so hard.
For me, I'm going to buy Splatoon, and that might be biased. But a reason I think why that is I wasn't allowed to play shooters growing up. So one of the reasons that Splatoon is a very special series to me is because it feels like I could go back to like my childhood myself or like experience what a shooter would be, but like a friendly one. And so even when I grew up and I was allowed to play shooters, I just didn't really have like that big of an interest in them. I still really love like colors and puzzles, and that just kind of fits that whole niche of Splatoon. So I'm gonna buy Splatoon. To rent Fortnite sounds weird because I can't really.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't return it either, so I don't really know.
Yeah, you get
That
it,
code,
you get it
can you get a
for
code
week.
refund or something?
Yeah,
You get it for a week, and then you have to delete it from your system.
yeah.
Or
So
or on your iPhone, right? You don't even get to rent it.
They did kind of take it
away.
Yeah. So I guess I'll say I'll rent Fortnite and then return Gears of War, but that's nothing bad towards Gears. They just haven't played it, so I'm probably missing out.
A game I almost thought about putting on this list because it's one of my son's favorite. And talk about family-friendly shooters, Plants vs. Zombies, that Garden Warfare. Absolutely phenomenal series. It's almost like a hero class shooter, third person. The zombies are funny. They have different persona, different power ups, and it's class based essentially. You have your support, your heavies, and it's a great game for kids. So if you want to, and I think they're finally on the Switch. I think Garden Warfare is finally on the Switch. So if you want to check out one that's a little bit different but still family friendly, goofy and fun, that series is really awesome. I really appreciate what they did. So.
Nice. Yeah, you had mentioned Ratchet and Clank in the chat, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good one. That one's clever too." So.
Yeah, and I started looking down the rabbit hole of like what's really a third-person shooter versus like a third-person adventure game, and it's like, it gets really complicated very quick. So I focused more on like the more of the competition type games.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, very, very good choices. Totally makes sense. Now let's hear Mark's coming up with excuses, and he's going to probably come up with a weird scale. And Mark, come on.
No, I was just planning on telling you off for the next 15 minutes and not making choices.
Okay. You're just going to like, my choice is not making a choice.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yes. Henry and Stella listening because I've got some words, Todd. Okay, because kids are probably listening. I'll try to behave, but holy poop. This is a tough choice. I love these three series. Gears of War for me is more of an Xbox core memory than Halo is. Like when I think Xbox, I think Gears. I think, Donnie Reese, I think it's in the same field as I am there. Like that is Xbox to me. Like Master Chief, whatever, see you later. You're cool for a little bit, but like Gears is where like that is Xbox. That is my memories with my friends, my brother, like picking up the Xbox the first time, the Xbox 360, just playing through those games, like some emotional moments. I got retweeted and liked by the voice actor for Dom a couple of weeks ago for saying like there's a scene in the second game where he kind of finds his wife and it's sad and touching and it has a weird twist to it. And I said that was one of the most emotionally like impactful moments that kind of sticks out for me in gaming. And then you throw like one of my favorite, like I ran a Splatoon podcast with our dearly departed friend, Bobby, the Nintendo guru, which holds an obviously special, very special place in my heart. I've been thinking about getting a Splatoon tattoo in his memory. So, Todd, I play Fortnite all the time. I'm so excited to get into the new season. I was playing over the weekend with my nephews. We like both of my nephews. The other one finally got into it. We were having fun. We were playing Poker Face by Lady Gaga on jug band instruments.
What are you even talking about? You just make this up, and I just believe you because I'm like, sure, of course that happens.
I'll send you the video. I hate this. This is the worst one you've ever picked for me. And like they're all like they're not only buys, they're like you could be like get a tattoo from any one of these games and I'd be perfectly fine with it like permanently on my body. Like this isn't even a buy. This is like definitive gaming tastes right here. I'm gonna buy Fortnite because it's always evolving and there's always something different. I'm gonna. I hate you so hard. I'm gonna rent. I can't believe I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna rent Gears of War because they usually have epic stories and the multiplayer is on point. And I'm gonna return Splatoon begrudgingly, but with a caveat that I hate you, and I'm. Is it okay? Wait, is this just returning Splatoon 3?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, we didn't
Can
really
I still play
clarify.
Splatoon 2?
This is the series. This is the series.
I hate you.
Yes.
So much.
I did not specify it for a reason. It's the series.
I'm gonna stick with my answers, but I dislike these things.
Mark, when you go to the pearly gates, I'm going to ask you the same question. And choose wisely. Unless you kill me first, and then you're going to a warmer place.
You're gonna be up there waiting, just be like,
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Not this guy.
Yeah,
nope, bad choices. Well, myself, this is going to be a little easier. It's going to be buy Gears because I love Gears. Gears. I'm really excited to see what they do next with the series because I think the series has gotten a little stale at times, and I'm excited to see what they do next. The fact that the last game ended on a cliffhanger and your decision like actually will carry over, I'm like, that's pretty impressive. And I don't know if did you finish Gears 5?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd be curious to hear what your decision was. In that last minute. It was awesome. It was very cool. But this is the game that Sean Nias and I would play couch co-op together with and just had a blast. We would just have so much fun. And it's a perfect game for that. It's really the combat, all of the horde mode, all those things, just the game sets some precedences. And we talk about Xbox's golden era. I still think it's a 360 when they put out so many awesome franchises and just were nailing it all. So this is the game that really spoke to me. I'm going to rent Splatoon because I typically play the campaign, don't really get into the multiplayer that often, and then I bounce off. So it's a series I find fun, but sometimes I'm frustrated with the controls. I'm not a big motion control guy, so my son taunts me, like saying, "Dad, you're doing it wrong," and I even was playing it handheld. And long story short, I'll tell you more about that. But yeah, it's still fun, and I think Nintendo doing, like, we always blame them for not bringing out new IP. This new IP is probably their most successful new IP in decades. So congrats to them on that. And then lastly, Fortnite. I think I've played Fortnite once, so it's just not for me. So that's an easy one. I will return it or just delete it off of my whatever I downloaded on. So there you go. That's an easy one. Oh, well, Mark, you can get back at me next time with your buy return. Okay? Deal?
I feel like I killed my baby, Todd.
Oh,
Like, I'm actually depressed. I'm sad now.
We'll get in a better mood because we're going to talk about some gaming events, Mark. And Cheezy would love to hear your thoughts on. Well, first, I'm sure you feel sad for Mark because he had to choose between his darlings. But we're going to get into these just some quick reactions to these big events we had over. It was weird September fall gaming events. It's a reality now, I guess. We started off with the Disney Games event. So that was a Nintendo Direct style event with Blessing Adeoye Jr. Doing a very quick fire games, a lot of mobile, some console, some newly announced things, and some just reminder of games that exist, and now they have like Red Hulk. So of the Disney Games event, any surprises or things that stood out?
For me, I watched most of D23, but I guess I missed out on the games section, so more on the TV shows and movies. So I don't know what was announced, but interested to hear.
Well, I can go through these really quick, and then you can give me your thoughts. First, Captain America and Black Panther, there is a game coming. It's by Amy Hennig is behind this. and we don't know yet if this is going to be a single player or it's going to be cooperative. But you're going to be playing as World War II Hulk, Captain America, the King of Wakanda would be T'Challa's great grandfather, I guess, or grandfather. Yeah, okay, and then you've got two other characters. Looks like potentially Bucky, and then one of the Dora Milaje. I'm going to mispronounce that, but it's going to probably be maybe you're handing off different story elements. Looks really cool. That was like kind of like the big surprise. Another surprise was Marvel's Midnight Suns actually is coming out on next gen consoles December 22. This was something that was not supposed to come out until spring. The current gen consoles are still unannounced. We got Tron Identity. It's apparently a visual novel in Tron, which is interesting.
That's not what I would have expected.
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't. It's kind of like when that most recent Dune game was announced. It's Dune, and it looks awesome. Oh, and it's MMORPG. Like, ooh, maybe not. And then we got a new Marvel AR game from Niantic. So think of Pokemon Go, but with Marvel.
Okay.
That'll be interesting. Marvel Snap, which is a card game, got a release date. Return to Monkey Island got a trailer, which already released. Aliens Dark Descent is a new game, because Disney owns Aliens now. Yeah. One of the things that I was really excited about was Gargoyles. The old SNES game is getting a remaster, and people said this is probably going to be like the DuckTales game, where they're going to give it a fresh coat of paint. That's coming. And then we basically got a first look at Avatar Reckoning, the game, which is a mobile MMORPG shooter. Did not know that part about it. I just thought it was a mobile game. Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga gets updates. Disney Speedstorm gets Monsters, Inc., which is their racer. Disney Mirrorverse gets Halloween content. Marvel Strike Force adds Red Hulk. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora got a quick gameplay overview. And Mickey Mouse got an awesome new game by the creators, or the guys who developed the most recent Battletoads. So those are the announcements. So what are your reactions?
It's exclusive for that one.
I know, and it looks awesome. It reminds me of Rayman Legends.
And a caveat there. So for the Cap and Black Panther game, the other two are a Wakandan spy named Nanali and World War II soldier, not Bucky, named Gabriel Jones.
Okay,
is the other character. So I think, Todd, you're the comic expert, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're new characters.
Both are probably new, unless I know there was a comic book story set in this era with the same characters. What I'm thinking is it's probably post Bucky's death, which is probably why they don't have Bucky. That's the only thing I could think of. Yep.
Yeah, and it is Azuri, T'Challa's grandfather.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So with all of those, anything that I mentioned or you're aware of sound really cool or stand out?
For me, it sounds like a lot of Disney IPs. How can you go wrong? I think and this is, probably not going to be the most interesting, but I am curious about that Niantic Marvel game and what that could be, because obviously Pokemon Go has been great. Pikmin Bloom it's there.
That's a great way to describe it.
I mean, it's I don't know. I wish I had more, but maybe like with the Marvel one, you're collecting Infinity Stones. I don't if they want to go back to that time, or I don't know. But the Mickey Mouse game I'm interested in, because I was a big fan of Epic Mickey, and I know that those games were supposed to be better than what they were, but I still had a good time with them. Alien sounds cool. I'm a big fan of the Alien series. So is that a mobile game, or was that for consoles?
I believe that's going to be more like a strategy game, like almost like an XCOM type game.
Okay.
So,
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and you almost forget what is all in Disney's pockets. I mean, they have everything under the sun now. So it will be cool to see that they're not ignoring some of those classic IPs that are not like their core. But to your point, the Mickey Mouse game, that looks phenomenal. Mickey often gets relegated to almost like just a spokesperson versus a real cool character. Like the current Mickey Mouse cartoon on Disney Plus is phenomenal. And the Halloween episode is one of my favorites of all time. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend that Mickey Mouse show.
Yeah, the art style in this, and it's perfectly copied in the game. Like it looks like Ren and Stimpy. There are some moments like I'll watch it with my son, and it's like this is disgusting. Like they go really close up on characters, and they get that like Ren and Stimpy style, like just oozy, gross disgustingness, and like they do really weird things that you wouldn't expect Disney to let Mickey Mouse do. And this game is aping that art style perfectly. So it's such a weird surprise and a nice surprise, and very different from uh, the other like Mickey games, and which I also thought were excellent to Cheesy's point. But um, yeah, looks really really interesting. So I'm very excited for that one, and the Captain America Black Panther game. Just like they were the two standouts for me for sure.
That Disney Mirrorverse universe game
Hmm.
looks pretty cool. I
It
don't
does.
know anything about it, but it looks really cool.
I really need to get into that. I have it downloaded on my phone, and I just have not had the desire to play a mobile game like that and to sit down and actually like if I'm sitting down and playing something handheld. Lately it's been my Switch. So I just like I have not gotten into that, but I really need to. That last trailer was pretty badass.
Yeah, getting to play as Ursula and Oogie Boogie. That's pretty cool. Oh well.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that is it for the Disney and Marvel games. I mean, there was probably a lot of people expecting maybe Wolverine game to show up or Spider-Man 2, but didn't happen. So then we go to the next showcase, which was the Nintendo Direct. And obviously, Cheesy, you're a Nintendo streamer. Mark is dyed in the wool Nintendo guy. I'm the guy that plays maybe one or two Nintendo games a year. So I'll let you two gentlemen kind of riff on this, and I will say one or two things.
Okay. Um, did you want to go over some of the things that were announced, or just
I think
thoughts?
just what stood out to you, I think.
Yeah, I
Because there
mean,
was a lot here. There's a lot to go. Like so, yeah. Let's
yeah.
let's maybe just pick our like favorites, I guess.
So I think it was a good direct. Pikmin 4 is finally coming, or they love to show off the number 4, and I think that number is just doing a great job in the spotlight. Eventually, we'll see
Really
Pikmin
good.
4 and Metroid Prime 4. So um, that's a thing. I'm not a Fire Emblem fan, or like I haven't really played Fire Emblem, but that game actually looks kind of fun. There's always like a Fire Emblem game where I'm like, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe this is where I dip my toes into the series, and it doesn't happen. So I'm not expecting it to, but maybe. And then Tears of the Kingdom, obviously, is was a big one. I just my hot take on the directs and people not really they always have something negative to say about the directs, and I think that we just have gotten to a point with all of these events, like how you just brought up the Disney one. Nintendo was kind of doing it first, and now everyone is doing it, and we get content all the time. And because of the age of the internet, you are going to disappoint people, and they're going to be disappointed that their series wasn't announced in the event or their movie or whatever it is. So honestly, I think that it was a fine direct. I don't think it's like one that like is kind of 2019 E3 status where they showed off
Hmm.
Animal Crossing, Banjo, and the sequel to Breath of the Wild. Um, People just have expectations way too high these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I thought it was a good direct as well. Like overall, they hit a bunch of stuff for a bunch of different people and a bunch of different play styles and interests.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's something there that you're gonna enjoy. There were some updates. My wife was really excited about the Mario Kart 8 Wave 3 stuff. She thought that looked really cool. For me, the big standout was GoldenEye, and there's some weird stuff about that one. Like it's coming to Xbox and Switch. The Xbox is getting like a 4K 60 FPS or 120 FPS or something like that. Basically, like a remade, remastered version, and no online. And then the Nintendo Switch version is going to be on the Nintendo Switch Online N64, so it's going to be probably a more faithful port, which is good or bad depending on how much you like N64 and what your nostalgia is like. But that one has online, which it's like, what? Why? What broke somewhere that Nintendo's getting online on their weird little N64 system, but like Xbox
Well,
doesn't
I would say
like couch
Xbox is
co-op.
more faithful because it's only split screen, which is what
I
the original GoldenEye didn't have any online play. So, Mark, I think
and this will be
yeah.
split screen. The N64 version will still be split screen. So if you're like me and have multiple N64 Switch style controllers, you know,
It'll be
have some
very
people
faithful
over
at like
and
2
be
frames per
very faithful.
second
Yeah, it's
because
going
it'll
to be
be in the
great.
N64 emulator.
So I'm looking forward to that. But they also announced like Pilot Wings, Mario Party 1, 2, 3, Pokemon Stadium 2, which I was excited about, but now I'm not excited about because I noticed on my second watch through of this direct that you cannot import Pokemon into this. I was hoping they'd figure something out with Pokemon Home that you could fire some Pokemon from like, Let's Go Pikachu or one of the games. You could fire those original like 151 into this game, but it's like you're basically just going to be playing with whatever comes with it, I guess. So slightly disappointing to me because those games were like take your team from Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, Gold, Silver, put them in a game, and you can see your Pokemon team in 3D and battle them on your N64. So that was the cool bit of that, and that's why I have nostalgia for that game. Is my brother and I would finally get to battle our Pokemon better than just like the Game Boy Color could provide. Full 3D. They look so real in N64 graphics. So I was super excited for Stadium 1 and 2, but now I'm kind of like, I might try them out just to see what the answer for that is. And then 1080 snowboarding and Excite Bike, awesome additions. But yeah, GoldenEye for me was the standout aside from obviously Zelda. Pikmin 4, I'm very confused about. You mentioned that one, Cheesy. I thought this game was done. Didn't they say this game was like,
Yep.
yeah, it's done. We're just waiting for the right time to release it. And it's like, they showed off a screenshot.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
the
and it's
game's
supposed
done,
to
at
come
least
out
show off
next
a
year.
trailer
I don't know.
or something.
But Miyamoto has a shirt.
Yeah. I'm very proud of this shirt that I designed. Cool. Show us gameplay.
Please play Pikmin Bloom.
Yeah, you can play it closer to the ground. Show me. Like, if the game's done or even close to done, it's supposed to come out in 2023. I expected when they did announce this, it'd be a shadow drop of like, oh, also you can play this in a week, but like, it's just, I don't like some of it was so confusing like that. It's just, it's weird, but Nintendo gonna do what Nintendo gonna do. So,
Yeah, I mean,
Todd did. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I saw a lot of the like same comments with Tears of the Kingdom and how they didn't really show a lot, but like we're all gonna buy it, and if you
For that one,
liked,
I understand. Yeah.
yeah, and part of the magic of the first game was discovering it all on your own. Like I personally, I don't want a direct like on Tears of the Kingdom, which I feel like they might do.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it.
Yeah, if this is all we see for that, like I'm good with that for the Zelda game, especially that's about exploration, like the first one, like you said, perfect, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
For Pikmin, I don't know, I expect to see more. I needed to see a little bit more, especially when they talked about a couple of new things, like what makes this different than Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. It's weird. Todd, were any of these games one of the 3 Nintendo games you will be playing in the next year or so?
Well, I will give you my quick take. Kirby Return to Dreamland, Logan absolutely loved that on the Wii. The fact that that's coming back in more of like it doesn't look like a 480p game, which is good, and I'm assuming there's something to it to be a DX game, a deluxe. So I think Logan will be excited about that, or he'll just be like, "Oh, I liked it when I was a kid, Dad. I don't like it anymore." So don't know. But one of the games that stood out to me that just seems very odd is Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star. I don't know what this is. I know Fist of the North Star. It's an anime that you punch people and their heads explode. I don't know if there'll be head exploding in this punching game, but that would be great because it's Nintendo.
This trailer had me laughing so much because of the way it was worded. Because they said it like everyone is familiar with this, and maybe it's the most popular anime, and I'm the only one that's missing out or something like that. But like, the way that they worded it in the trailer was like, Yeah, the characters that everyone's super familiar with are finally on your Switch in bulk.
Everybody's here. Everybody's
And it's
here.
like, and they named a couple, and I'm like, have I missed a full franchise on Nintendo? Like, what is going on here? But
Hey,
like
Mark,
that,
put Finn on your lap and you're going to watch a marathon of Fist of the North Star.
I guess so.
You'll be a man soon, Finn, after watching this. Other than that, just a ton of like cloud releases, ports that I didn't expect, like Sifu and It Takes
Tunic.
Two. Yeah, and Tunic I expected. And I think they did announce it and they finally. But I mean, like, It Takes Two and Sifu are pretty, I mean, next gen games. So, I mean, I don't know how well they'll perform. They might be like 720p, 30 frames per second, but it's interesting that everything is still coming to Switch despite the hardware not really being the best for these games. But I think it's, hey, put everything on there that'll work. And if it's horrible, oh well, we tried. I'm good with that. But on the the Zelda trailer, I always think it's hilarious when they say we can't give you the title, give you the win. Like Tears of the Kingdom, unless you're throwing tears as your weapons or you're collecting tears. But beyond that, it's probably going to be a 60, 70 hour games. I do think it's so silly when they say that. I'm like, really, guys, get over yourself. No one, Breath of the Wild. The Breath of the Wild was not a weapon. It was just wild breath. Yeah. So
I give anything away for the game.
It's just so silly. But I will be curious to see when this game finally comes out in May, which they announced. Really, why it took 6 years to have a game essentially using the same engine. A lot of the physics is already in place. This feels like a Majora's Mask. Versus, and I know there's going to be new territories and things like that. It's in the clouds, like Skyward Sword, and doing some things like that. I do worry about the hardware, though. Being able to, I mean, this is going to be a Zelda made for Switch, which the first one wasn't made for Switch. It was made for Wii U and essentially ported to Switch. So maybe it'll be in a better shape. But I hope the hardware doesn't hold back the ambition. That's my biggest concern with this. And I kind of wish this was a like that staggered release of it's going into Switch and the next Switch hardware at the same time, because Nintendo loves to double dip. They've done it many, many times. So maybe not going to happen. But that was just my thoughts. But that's Nintendo.
You mentioned the Skyward Sword comparison. At the end of that trailer, when he jumps down from the sky, I'm like, he's going to land on the loft wing. He's going to land on a loft wing.
Nope.
And he lands on a friggin' like
concrete
frisbee
thing.
bird or something, like concrete bird paper airplane. I'm like, what? Go away. Give me a loft wing again.
So that would have been
delightful.
I don't want to control that damn loft wing, because if I had to do it like the Skyward Sword, that's when I stopped playing that game.
I'm not going to be flopping your Switch around. It's just going to be good. Just.
So I was thinking about that. Like, would they be extinct? Because technically, Skyward Sword is like the first in the timeline.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know. They might be extinct. That's sad.
Is that in the Hyrule Historia? Like loft wings, the last sighting of a loft wing. Yeah, sorry.
I hope not.
So I saw, or I listened to IGN's Nintendo podcast, and Seth Macy had a theory that it's actually Tears of the Kingdom, and that there's, when you look at like the statue that they show, there's like 7 emblems that are around that, like the art or the like wood craving or stone craving, carving, and maybe that's the different 7 3D Zelda games, and so that they are like really doing kind of a Zelda multiverse kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
That'd be cool.
Apparently,
I don't know if that's going to happen. But
apparently, they did clear up the rumors. It actually means Tears of the Kingdom refer to teardrops, not rips. It was. Yeah,
I didn't expect them to clarify that. Oh, okay.
They did. Yeah, they did. So
I heard the same.
Sorry, Seth Macy.
I still like that. That could still work. I mean, you could get tears from different kingdoms and still make a multiverse.
I mean, like you said, we've seen Skyward Sword, and then there's a little bit of Twilight Princess in there as well. So I don't know.
Interesting. I like it.
Well, very good. So winter, they were focused on winter games, and then they did say and more. So they always have that caveat, so they can say we lied. We're actually going to talk about a game in May, which is not winter. Sorry, Nintendo. Yeah. Then we moved on to Sony State of Play. This was a very Japanese-centric, TGS-focused event. We get the God of War Ragnarok trailer that really lit the world up. People are excited for it. God of War is probably one of my favorite games of all time. I've talked about it before. I just think it's a masterpiece in regards to gameplay, story, and just directing of a one-cut continuous game. It's phenomenal. Love it. I don't know, Mark. You could play this on your PS4 if you wanted to, but you still haven't played. Have you played God of War 2018?
No, I was just talking to my brother about borrowing his actually, just on the weekend. So I have to see. I asked him if I could borrow his copy. He's like, sure. And then he showed me Monster Hunter. And when we get into what we've been playing, I'm going to talk about like trying out Monster Hunter. So he said, yes, I could play God of War, but then he got me distracted by monsters and fun weapons. So that might have got pushed back again. I don't know. But that trailer looks so badass.
Yeah, I can't wait to play it. And if you got a PS4, you can play it. It's going to look best on PS5, of course, but still, it's nice that the game is available for others as people still try to find PS5s. Then we've got Tekken 8, which is like one of my favorite fighting game series of all time. That's why I got a PlayStation 1, was to play Tekken 3. Loved it. This looks awesome. Tekkens don't come out that frequently, so this is pretty cool. There's been 5 in, 25 years. That's not many. So it's pretty impressive. So I'm excited about that. Then we got a Like a Dragon game. So this is basically Yakuza, and it's essentially a prequel, like in feudal Japan. Don't understand it, but if you like that stuff, it's there. Sony is launching a loyalty program, and they actually refer to it as loyalty program, which sounds lame, but you can get like little not NFTs, but look like NFTs. So don't try selling them, folks. They got Rise of the Ronin. It's a new Team Ninja game that has feel of like a Ghost of Tsushima. PSVR 2 got that Tales from the Galaxy's Edge Enhanced Edition announced, which is very cool. And Hogwarts Legacy is getting a PlayStation exclusive quest. So there's kind of like, and they had a lot of more Japanesey things if you like more of the Japanese centric games. But this was definitely a weird feel for a State of Play. It's not a PlayStation showcase, so it's a little smaller. So anything jump out beyond the God of War trailer?
For me, it was really just God of War. Like I can't believe that is a game and not a movie. It just looks so beautiful, and I know that there's gonna be a lot of talk around Elden Ring for Game of the Year, but from the looks of it, of what we have seen of God of War, it definitely deserves to be there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people said, oh, it just looks like more of the same, but they have announced some of the cool elemental effects. The shield is going to have some unique weaponry. They've actually added some new mechanics to the different buttons. And Atreus looks like he's going to be more of a more intricate part of the combat system too, which I really liked a lot. So yeah, I'm excited. That game is coming in November. I keep forgetting it's coming because I'm like, oh, that game's not coming. I have to wait for it. And like, oh no, it's 2 months. I'm so excited. So that is the PlayStation event. And then, Mark, you added this in last minute. We talked about the Ubisoft Forward event, what it would be. I really didn't see anything that really interested me. So it's really your take, or Cheezy, your take on that Ubisoft event.
I do want to stop for a second and go back to PlayStation because I mentioned the God of War trailer looked badass. But I need, like, PlayStation, what are you doing? Like, they, in the same week, they went on this complaining little woe is me story about like, it's not fair if Xbox buys Call of Duty and makes it exclusive, but here's some exclusive PlayStation stuff, like Hogwarts Legacy is only going to have this exclusive quest on PlayStation, and here's this and this and this. And then they go with PSVR 2 and announce that PSVR 1 titles, like, that's where they're drawing the line of we believe in generations. Like, get your head out of your ass and start either like clearly messaging things, and like the reasons they gave behind it, like people were discrediting instantly on Twitter and Reddit and stuff. It's like, man, because like people were saying, oh, it's the head tracking thing, and then people were like, no, that works on Steam VR like instantly with a ton of different headsets. The game just basically looks at the headset to say like, where's the head at? and what directions it's looking in. Like, I'm sure it's more complicated than I'm making it sound, but at the same time, it seems pretty doable on Steam. So probably some light patchwork or like hardware related stuff to make it translate. And then the complaining thing about Xbox with Call of Duty, like Xbox has said pretty clearly like they're going to leave it on as long as they can. And PlayStation's the one this generation especially that doesn't want to play fair. Like, oh cool, give us Spider-Man and Avengers and maybe we'll give you Call of Duty, or like piss off. I don't know, like they're the ones that keep buying exclusivity for stuff, and Xbox is like, we'll let our stuff on anything. Like look at GoldenEye. I don't know, man. PlayStation pissed me off this week. But good stuff if you're excited about that, or PSVR 2. Anyway.
I will say this. Microsoft is one of the biggest companies in the world. They can buy Sony if they really wanted to, Mark. And when you talk about buying exclusives, Microsoft's buying publishers. I mean, like eating up publishers. We're talking about, and it essentially PlayStation is the only thing holding up Sony. That's why they have to make these really exclusive deals, because they just can't compete with Microsoft on a capital front. They can't do these purchases, so they're probably scared shitless. And they do have to realize where the price is going to be. Nintendo could care less if those games go away, because they don't play. They haven't had a Call of Duty on the Switch in years because it's just not the game they play. So I am curious to see what happens, because ultimately I would love to see PlayStation spun off of Sony. And have someone else help them, because they are the biggest part of Sony now. And just imagine that. Well, imagine if Xbox was the biggest part of Microsoft. They aren't. Xbox could lose. They've lost money for as long as they've existed, and they finally are making money back. So it's an interesting point. So, but it's like, yeah, we talk about the exclusive things that they buy, but Sony funded essentially Death Note or Death Loop. And now it's coming to Xbox. So Xbox essentially got a new game essentially for free. So I don't know. It's hard. And yeah, Jim Ryan's horrible. Their messaging is horrible. They need to fix it. They should patch the games so they come to PlayStation. Because I assuming when like a game like Moss, which I played a little bit of that, when it went from PlayStation to Steam, they had to do something too. Because going from the move paddles to something else, they had to do it. So they have to do that. And yeah, they just need a new spokesman, because Jim Ryan sucks. Satya Nadella is not speaking for Xbox. They have Phil Spencer, and then
he's good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he lets. That's right. I'm like, Sony is still a Japanese company, and in a lot of ways they don't have the charm of Nintendo, which brings out the worst in them. So yeah, I don't know. I love their games so much, but they kick themselves in the head. They're like the rakes with Sideshow Bob and The Simpsons. It's like every time they do something good, they find a rake to hit, and I'm like, I'm just so tired of it. I just like playing their games. I could care less about them as a company, to be honest. It's like, just make good games, and I'll just ignore the other bullshit. Oh well. Fun times.
Anyway, so yeah, I will say, like I did very quickly add this to the notes. So I will say there's a few new Assassin's Creed games on the horizon. We saw tease for the next one, Assassin's Creed Mirage. We saw Assassin's Creed Red, I think was the other one.
Yeah.
That's a Japanese game as part of Infinite, or what's the hub game?
Sorry, Assassin's Creed Codename Red is going to be the feudal Japan, and anything going forward past I think past Mirage is going to be part of Assassin's Creed Infinity. So it sounds like that game's going to be like a hub, and maybe some multiverse or metaverse type stuff where you can kind of like, you're in the Animus yourself and you can kind of choose this path or this path, and it's going to lead to different games, and whatever ones you buy are going to get integrated into that metaverse or whatever it is. But yeah, Codename Red sounds really, really cool. There's another one, Codename Hexy or Hex. Or they pronounced it weird in the trailer, and I can't remember how they did it.
Hexe, I think.
But that one, what was that?
Hexe,
I think, yeah. It was. Yeah. Looks like some witch trial stuff. I believe that's Bamberg witch trials, so like the 1600s, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Someone that knows their history a little bit better. And then they had what was the other one? There's a mobile game too that's in China that I am forgetting the name for right now.
Codename Jade.
Jade. Okay,
Yeah.
there we go. Which looks amazing for a mobile game. Like that was in-engine footage that they were showing off.
What's the gameplay like?
Didn't really see. We saw it like it basically flying through a town and then kind of the leap of faith kind of thing. It was so no real gameplay on that way, but touch controls. I have played some Assassin's Creed games back in the day on touch controls, but that was more of a 2D side scroller stuff. Maybe they're going back to that, but this one looked a little bit broader. So we'll see. I'm very much looking forward to Mirage. That's taking one of the characters from Valhalla and going back to when they first got into the Order. So it looked really cool. I was very impressed by this. And Ubisoft also showed off some new Mario plus Rabbids stuff and Rayman DLC coming to that game. So another great event, or a great couple of events from Ubisoft. So lots of stuff. It was like a mini E3 the last couple of weeks.
It was.
It's been great. Cheezy, are you an Assassin's Creed fan? Did you see any of that?
Yeah, I watched it because my wife is a big fan of the series. So she was pretty excited and seeing, where the series is going, and that they're making a Netflix show as well, which I think was announced a while back ago. And then they're like, yeah, it's now in development, which I have to imagine was, held by the pandemic. But yeah, I mean, it seems like they have a good direction for where they want Assassin's Creed to go. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, I'm super excited about, because I tell everyone, if you've not played Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, you're missing out. It really is like a treasure, and I know people don't want to play it because of the Rabbids, and I totally understand, but it's so charming, and it's the closest thing that we're going to get Rare being back on Nintendo. Like, I know we have some Rare games back again, but like Grant Kirkhope doing the music is also very lovely, and a remnants of my childhood as well. So I'm really, really looking forward to that game.
Yeah, ditto. I bought that game for a couple of people just because I was like, you need to play this. And they were like, no. And I was like, well, here's a copy. It is just that good.
Did you buy it?
And it's a Ubisoft game, so it gets cheap.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's always like $15, and it's like, why? You might as well just try it for that price.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, it's great.
Hexy, Project Hexy, it's rumored 16th century Europe, Central Europe. So that's kind of cool, going to Europe. Again, I don't know, maybe they could go to like, I don't know which area it is, but it would be kind of cool. Maybe Germany or some other country beyond like the UK or France or something like that. That'd be kind of cool to do.
That would be Greece, if I'm right, I think.
Greece? Really?
Greece, Rome, for those trials that I'm thinking of. For the 1600s,
didn't specify. This said Central Europe when I looked at what we know now. Didn't specify, so you might be right.
I'm gonna look up quickly the Bamberg Witch.
But I am for Assassin's Creed going to different places. Like with Mirage looked cool. I thought they were doing like India for a second, but we're going Baghdad. So we're going to that Middle East type of setting that feels very familiar from what Assassin's Creed 1 and 1.
I'm wrong. It's Holy Roman Empire, present day Germany. So yeah, we're gonna get some like
that's cool
style, like
mountains, lots of cool stuff. Very cool.
Right time period, the wrong location.
Nice. It's very cool.
That's why I love Assassin's Creed. I got to brush up on my history.
And the fact that they're going someplace else, which is very cool, and that's the whole thing. Expand it, do more places. Very, very cool. Mm-hmm. Well, excellent. So that's what's been happening in the world of gaming. It's kind of crazy. Now we can talk about the games we've been playing. So I will not even get out of. Well, I will get out of the way for the elephant in the room as it charges through, and that is Splatoon 3. We've all played it, but I'm sure I've played the least amount because everything I've tried to do in Splatoon, it says, come back, dude, when you've gone up to like level 4. And I'm like, oh, I'm not even at level 4 yet, am I? Crap.
It takes like 2 matches to get to level 4.
Apparently, I'm always on the worst teams.
Oh, man. All right.
I am on the worst teams, Mark, because I'm not helping. I need to be carried like a Roman emperor.
Deal. If we can get out of the metaverse and stop watching Rick and Morty, we will play some Splatoon.
Sounds good.
All right. I do want to jump in before we all start talking about it. In our Discord, the informant wrote in and said, I've been enjoying Splatoon 3, but they really need to fix those connection issues, and I'm disappointed they don't have a better solution for when a player drops off during a match. 100%.
Logan said the same thing. He's like, Dad, I keep getting penalized because my team keeps dropping.
Last night, so I had a great run on this game up until last night. Like maybe 1 or 2 connection errors, 1 person left. Last night I got 5 connection errors in a row. And in the middle of those connection errors, I also got a map update screen after a connection error. And then I had a person drop a match. So if I was playing a shot for every time the connection error or match dropped, I would have been plastered last night. And I did see that drinking game, the Nintendo voice chat Facebook page today. So I'm not just making that up because I want to drink during Splatoon. So they need to do that. But the informant also mentioned some stuff about the Direct and Sony State of Play. So I'll read those now before we get into what we're doing, because we just talked about all that stuff. So I'm very excited to see GoldenEye coming to the Switch and Xbox, but I was hoping for a big surprise release for this holiday, and they did not deliver. Yeah, they didn't at all. Mm-hmm. So kind of Pokemon and whatever else. State of Play, God of War is looking great. So kind of similar to our thoughts on that one. Thank you, an informant.
Real quick, with GoldenEye, do you think that that's just going to be a novelty? Like, we'll play it for maybe a month, maybe it will stick around that much? Or do you really think like this is going to bring in the older crew that played GoldenEye, and like, because it does have online for Nintendo, mm-hmm. but also I kind of think that means that you can only play online with your friends. So I don't think it's going to be online matchmaking.
I think you're going to be right. I think it's going to be the same way that Nintendo Switch Online is right now, where you have to make a party, invite people into that party, and do all those runaround things. Like if you've played any of the Nintendo Switch Online stuff, it's not just quick matchmaking. It's not the way that we think about like Fortnite multiplayer or anything like that. It's really restricted. I don't think it's going to have any lasting, staying multiplayer of the week staying power kind of thing. But like, I think it's going to be fun for guys like us that kind of grew up playing this or whatever. Like, I'm going to try it. Like I have an
Slapfest, the Slapfest, right?
Yeah. Slappers only, no odd jobs. I can't wait to play with someone who's never played this game and just pick
Golden Gun
ass and just slappers only. I'm gonna be odd job, don't worry about it. You should be Jaws. The tall character and the small character, and very unfair. I don't think it's gonna stick around for too much longer, other than a quick little drop-in nostalgia play. And honestly, that's great for the Nintendo Switch Online catalog as a whole. They just added, on the Sega side, they just added Earthworm Jim. I loved those games growing up. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to play a couple of minutes of it, or an hour or a couple hours or whatever grips me. But it's like, not going to be something I always return to, or like I have to play through or whatever. But like Nintendo Switch Online, there's so much stuff there that when you are feeling nostalgic or you don't know what to play, it's easy to jump into Super Mario World or, Super Mario 64 or whatever it is, like Paper Mario. Like I'm kind of picking my way through that slowly anytime I'm kind of in a lull. I think GoldenEye will be the same.
I'm excited that it's going to be on Xbox, to be honest. I do not have the muscle memory of an N64 controller. So, and if you don't, I'm sorry. It's the most unintuitive, worst way to play because it's not dual analog sticks. And it was funny because Yeah, it's hard to imagine. Dreamcast was the same way. You did not have that second analog stick, so you had to use the directional buttons for everything. And to me, it's a time gone by, and I don't own an N64 controller. So, and I don't love how Nintendo maps the N64. If you don't own that controller for their online games, it just becomes very funky. So I'm glad it's going to be on Xbox. So with dual sticks, Rare actually was the one that was all behind it. So I'm very excited to see what they do with their game, quite honestly. So I'll try it out there. And I've never played the campaign, so I think that could be fun
Wow.
because that's what I've
Yeah.
heard. I've heard it's got great level campaign.
Oh yeah.
It's a great just level based campaign type game too. So
Yeah, it really is. And make sure you play it on the different. So if you haven't played the game, each difficulty like changes the stages
mhm.
completely. It's not like a modern game where they just throw harder enemies at you or something. Like it can sometimes even change the stage length. So on easy mode, it might be just like get from point A to point B. On the next difficulty, it might be grab this first and then get to
Mhm.
point B. So it's, you're doing a few steps along the way. And on like the extreme difficulty mode, it's like it takes quite the run. So make sure you not only play it, but play it on some different difficulties to get really everything. Cheesy, I did want to ask you because you said you couldn't play shooters growing up. Did you play this game at all?
So I would play it if I would go over to a friend's house, like during a sleepover or something like that, and we get pizza and drink lots of Mountain Dew, like how it was back in the day, couch co-op. So yeah, I enjoyed it when I got to play it, but that was very rare. So for me, yeah, I mean, I could probably go and check it out and play the campaign as well. And I don't know, like I think it will be a good time, and it's a rare game, which we all love rare, or used to. I don't know how people feel about rare these days, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's I'm gonna have to message you like when it comes out because I really want to see both of you. Really, I want to see what you think.
Sure.
Having
Cool.
not put a ton of time in it or just play the multiplayer and kind of see how it holds up. That's really cool.
Very cool. Well, thanks, informant. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know he had actually reached out to, do we want to play Splatoon? And I'm like, I definitely will. I'll play with Splatoon. I have to remember how I'm going to communicate with everybody because I haven't played online on Switch in a long time. So I'll be honest.
Discord.
Discord. Okay, I'll have to remember to put it on my phone. So I don't know if I've used the voice chat on Discord, but I've got it. So I definitely
Yeah.
have to do it. So very, very cool. So that is once again, that is the elephant in the room. It is Splatoon 3. So Cheesy, you're our guest. So
Yeah.
Splatoon 3, third time's the charm. There have now been 3 Splatoons in the time there's been one Mario Kart game, which is just crazy to me.
Wow,
When you put
wow,
it
that
that
is
way, it's so
crazy.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Uh, well, it's obviously doing really well because in the first 3 days, it sold 3.45 million copies in Japan alone. So, um, I, yeah, isn't that insane? That's like more than Animal Crossing and Pokemon, and the
Fastest selling
advertisements.
game ever in Japan.
Yeah, yep.
Full stop.
And the Wii U, just for to give people some clarification, uh, Splatoon sold 6 million copies, so it probably has already sold that or close to it.
And that was a lot for the Wii U. The Wii U only
Yes.
had like 13 million install base, so it's
Yeah.
almost 50%. It's like I said, it's a huge franchise, especially in Japan, where shooters are not their bread and butter, and they have really embraced. It's really a Japanese culture-based game, and you can see it in everything about the game. And I think because the Wii U is kind of a native for Nintendo, this kind of caught a younger group, a younger developing team. I think this was the right franchise for the right time in Japan.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons I think that I love this series so much is that it's the same team that made Animal Crossing, and Animal Crossing is just so charming, and the writing is great, the character designs. It just there's like something that's so special when you play it, and that's the same way I feel with Splatoon. And it is one of the coolest IPs that Nintendo has, and I think they know that too. Like you can just see it ooze out of them. All of
Yeah.
the clothing, the music. The music's really cool because the music you hear in the game are like fictional bands within that world.
Mhm.
So there's some like lore behind that.
And
There's
it's
always
it's
there's always a
so
DJ bad guy.
and it's
Yep,
so
yep,
definitive. Like you hear half a note from a Splatoon song and it's like, oh, that's Splatoon.
yeah.
Like, how did they make it instantly sound like Splatoon?
You just
Like
gotta
it's
gargle some
just,
water
I
and
guess,
just
yeah,
kind
but
Exactly.
it just
of.
is. Like it just they nailed the sound so much. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, with Splatoon 3, I am loving it. I think that same with the God of War argument that it looks more of the same. I don't think is a bad thing. I get where people are coming from, but if you really enjoyed Splatoon 2, then you're probably going to enjoy Splatoon 3 more. The connection errors is a problem. I mean, Mark and I, we tried to get into one game and then it disconnected, but the way that we were able to drop in is something I feel like not a lot of people are talking about. And it's pretty seamless. Like you can just drop in on your friends and then there you are in the lobby. So
Hmm.
that works out really well. And they just have done so much, in my opinion, with this game that is for everyone. I mean, you have the campaign that is like a platformer. You know, there's some speed runs, or it could be some stealth missions, or there's something that's there for whatever kind of gamer you are. You have the more serious, which is rank mode, and then Salmon Run is your horde mode, and then the new tabletop game is actually a lot of fun, and I can't wait until that goes online because I think that's going to be crazy competitive.
Cool. I still haven't checked out that mode at all.
Oh,
Mark,
you
it's
should.
card game. It's cards, Mark. Come
I know it's
on,
cards.
you of all
That's the
people haven't checked it out yet.
It's cool
yeah,
because
that's my kryptonite.
with the way that that game works is the further you get into it, you're playing different characters, but they have a different board setup. So like the cards that you were using before might not work for this board, and you have a total of 15 cards you can use. And throughout the game, you're collecting more and more cards, so you might have to change up your deck. And there's like I think
Hmm.
15 different slots for you to create different decks. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what they have planned for the future of that, but I think it's going to be pretty big and bring in a different kind of community that maybe wasn't in Splatoon already.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's funny because Gwent is a card
Mhm.
game in The Witcher,
Yeah.
Witcher 3, and it became its own standalone game, which is kind of cool. So I could imagine they could say that we're introducing this, and then it becomes a full fledged like spin off of
A mobile
Splatoon,
game
which
or something.
which makes a lot of sense because I mean, why not take these characters, do different things with them, and have more to do with the franchise? And maybe it's something for people like I don't like not good at shooters, but maybe you're like I like card games and I like the aesthetic and I like just the feel of Splatoon.
Yeah, what I'm hoping for is that they bring it to Splatnet because it's the perfect game to just have on mobile.
Mm.
And
Right.
Splatnet is also vastly improved. Like I use that more than I did Splatnet 2. There's little side adventures you can do with Krusty Sean. The more you ink, you can like redeem those points, and he gives you like a wallpaper or something like that. But if you complete all of them, then you get an in-game item. There's the clothing store. Um, there's the your your kill death ratio, but now that's in the game, in the lobby. Yeah, I mean I could talk hours about Splatoon, so you're gonna have to cut me off at some point.
So Splatnet that's within the Nintendo app, right? Is that
Yeah.
what it
Yep.
is?
Yep.
Okay. And that was a big thing for a while. We thought every game was going to have its own dedicated, and it kind of didn't happen. So,
Hmm.
and I want to get back to that point because so when Splatoon 2 launched, Nintendo Online didn't even exist, right? It was in beta maybe at the time. It was free, and then they said, "Oh, we're finally going to launch this later." So 5 years later, and we're paying for online now.
Mhm.
Do you guys think that's really acceptable? That it's not good? That it's this bad? That it's like they're charging for a service now, and the expectation should be a level of play. Like I think of just like games like Fortnite and other mobile games. Like you never hear about, oh, I've had a horrible experience. Nintendo, it continues to come up. It's like we've got to expect more of a company that is part of their what they're charging for, right?
Especially
Absolutely.
with Splatoon being like their biggest online game right now. Um, it does need to be better. And I think they already had a maintenance update. Whether they fix things or not, I hope so. But I assume it's just going to get better over time. But it has been frustrating. Sorry, Mark. I
Yeah.
feel like I keep cutting you off.
No, no, not at all. I wanted you here because you're the Splatoon guy. I wanted to talk to you specifically for this, that's great. And I'm just basically gonna mirror what you said. Like that's I yeah I don't think at this point it's acceptable for really their key online franchise is that's kind of how Splatoon's been treated, and that's kind of it's multiplayer centric first. I know the story mode's great and I've been playing through it and everything else, but like Splatoon's bread and butter is online multiplayer. That needs to be solid. And I'm wondering, I get why Splatoon 3 is not Splatoon 2 DLC. There are enough changes, but I'm wondering if that's also a detriment because it's a new game. There's new bugs to work out, like this kind of stuff. If they kept building on Splatoon 2, like they did with, let's say, Destiny 2, you get your platform, you get your base, and then you keep adding expansions or you keep growing it or whatever. Your base is still solid. You still have that foundation there to build on. Now, Destiny 2, I think, ran into, like we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I think, where, I've been kind of feeling that itch to get back into Destiny 2 a little bit. But when I look at it, I'm like, I played maybe one or two of the DLC things. So now there's like 76 of them. And I'm like, where do I start? How do I play that much? Do I want to try to get someone online to Sherpa me through all this stuff? Do I want to go after gear? Do I want to get into that? And it feels overwhelming. Whereas at least with Splatoon 3, yeah, you're paying full price for something that looks and feels fairly similar to Splatoon 2. But at least you know that everyone's at the same starting point. You don't have a million pieces of DLC. It's not intimidating to buy Splatoon 3 right now because everyone's buying Splatoon 3 right now. You're going to get matched with people of similar skill levels, hopefully, and you're going to have fun. And there's a lot of different modes to play. And it's not as intimidating as something like Destiny 2. But with that being said, again, I'll go back to I wish the base was a little bit more solid right now. But and it will be, like the Cheezy point, like they've done a patch already. They'll continue to patch it, but like, yeah, now we're paying for this. Like, patch it quicker, guys. Let's go. You know, I'm paying for that. But again, Nintendo Switch Online is super cheap, and the expansion, I don't even consider that like expansion pass for like online stuff. I just want my N64 and Genesis games and stuff. So like for me, it's yeah, it's tough, man. And Switch Online is so cheap that I kind of, I don't want to say forgive them when there's stuff like this, but like it's easier to look at when I'm paying part of, what is it, like $40 a year or something stupid like that. Like it's,
Yeah, it's
um,
it's weird. You get what you pay for, but at the same time, it's like as a gamer, I've played other games that have better uh, online service. But what I will say is they have their, I guess, what is their battle pass, which is the catalog, and it's a
mhm.
3 month catalog, and the more you play, the more you earn. There's 100 pages of this catalog, so that keeps people busy, and it's not like you're paying an extra $5 to buy this new clothing set. You just get
Mhm.
it in the game. So it seems like they are trying to have a better online service, but they still don't get it, or they just kind of
Right.
wish that it was the couch co-op days and they just can't move forward.
Mhm.
Yeah, Nintendo's going to be dragged into the future. I always said I wish they just partnered with Microsoft and let them handle their backbone, do all of that stuff, and Nintendo just focuses on what they're very good at. And I think that would be the best move, but they just like to be independent. Totally get that. So I'm going to ask some questions, if you guys don't
Sure.
mind, because I'm a noob with this. My son has played a lot more. He's been really enjoying it. So a couple things that have changed are Salmon Run is now available all the time, which was my problem because I never got to play it because it was like, oh, you had to be available at Tuesday at 3 a.m. in the morning. And it's like, why? Why was it so like hard? And so I haven't gotten into that. So for someone like me, Salmon Run is the mode I've always been excited about because it is really the PvE guys collaborative taking on the baddies. That's what I always want in Splatoon. I still want a co-op Splatoon campaign, which I think would be awesome, which I think would be almost like a Destiny. Get 4 guys together, do the campaign together, have bosses, have raids, have fun stuff like that. I think that would be awesome. I still think Nintendo doesn't have that yet because I think Federation Force could have been that for Nintendo, but that is kind of tarnished. It was on the wrong platform. But for that, so for me, if I want to play Salmon Run, I don't even know where to go. I don't know if I'm the right level yet because Mark, you were already taunting me because I've only not even level 4 yet. So can I play it right away? Do I have to be better? Is it like, is it auto level or is it just like going to be, because Logan was saying it's hard. So I don't know if I can even compete yet.
I don't know. I didn't try to go down the Salmon Run door until I was way past level 4. So I don't know the answer to that question. Cheezy, do you?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's level 4 or level 10. I know that you have to be level 10 to do like rank modes. So I'm not sure if they consider that to be like a rank mode. But to just answer your question real quick, because it is really dumb that Salmon Run was only available at some times. But Nintendo's reason for that is that it's like part of the lore. It's like a part-time job, and you wouldn't be working 24/7 for the part-time job. But now that they have opened it up, it's better for a gaming experience. But for the sake of lore, I think it makes sense that it's open 24/7 because Salmon Run are going to be, or the Salmonid are going to be invading the city in Big Run, which is an event like Splatfest that we haven't seen yet, where they're going to be invading like some of the maps that we've already played on just the regular turf war matches. So it's good that it's 24/7 and everyone can play at any time. It's good for lore wise, I guess. It was really dumb that it wasn't available when it was their new mode and everybody really seemed to like it. So they must have figured out ways to make that work. I don't know why. Was it a server issue that they didn't want so many people playing Salmon Run on Splatoon 2? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah,
Looks
I remember
cool.
them just being very cagey about it. Of just like, I mean, like Splatoon has this history of like Nintendo basically saying like, we know what you want and we're gonna give it to you, even if you don't know that you want it. And like, it's a very
Very Apple.
Nintendo
It's a
thought.
very Apple
It's a
thing too,
very
right?
Apple
Yeah.
thought too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know yeah, and Nintendo and Apple I think are very similar companies, but
Mm-hmm.
like this time I think they probably saw the data, they probably saw the numbers of like, yes, maybe Salmon Run didn't work when you could play it every third Wednesday of the month from 3 a.m. to 3:37 a.m.
And you're playing with Japanese
Yeah,
characters, players who are far
yeah,
better than you. Yeah.
it doesn't work. So yeah, I think they're slowly learning. I don't know exactly the reason behind that. I like that they do tie it into some lore, like you said, Cheesy. That's gives like the super fans a little bit to look into. But for everyone else, it's just like, hey, it's available. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Salmon Run, though, has improved. I mean, I don't know if that's one of those things that could have just been a DLC update, but throwing eggs to your teammates or into the basket is huge and changes the way that you play. It's a lot quicker, more chaotic too, and some of the bosses, they're they're interesting. Like they just add to the gameplay.
The
Yeah.
sound when my son was playing it, it sounded like Jaws, or like a riff on Jaws. The
Mhm.
music is very, very
Boom,
cool,
boom,
and it
boom, boom.
feels very, very Doom like. It's just very
Mhm.
cool, and it's like you get this big ass creature coming down, boom, and he's like takes up the whole stage. Kind of reminds me of what was it, the Mario mode where it was where you became basically Super Saiyan Cat Mario versus Bowser. It was kind of neat to
Mm,
have that big epic boss come down. It's very
yeah,
cool.
Bowser
I'm glad
Fury.
they're
Yeah,
embracing it. Yeah, I'm glad they're embracing it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving my time with Splatoon. I check in. Cheesy, like you said, the app is way better. I check in every day. I just ordered. Actually, when you were saying, I was showing off my phone. Like I just ordered a new piece of clothing from the shop. So I'm getting a red battle crab shell.
Mm.
Going to be there to pick up. Yeah, man, it's great. They have some bugs to work out, but like overall, awesome experience. I'm glad Splatoon's back and better than ever.
What's really exciting is that it's being supported for 2 years, and with
Hmm.
how Splatoon 2 went, I mean that's a totally different game than how it released. So I'm really looking forward to see like what those changes are. The DLC, which Mark will be part of the expansion pack.
I'm sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay. I was
Well,
wondering if that
I'm
was going to be their move forward, because that's what I thought they were going to do. But I'll never get the feel with Nintendo, because I don't think like the expansions for like Xenogears, or no, Xenoblade, Xenoblade. God, I can't remember. That's not part of the expansion pass. That
that's
expansion is a
true.
pay only, which is just like
Mm.
weird. So I don't know if Nintendo everything is always as expected, like Mark said. So it
Mhm.
would be a shame if it wasn't, because I think that's how they build value, because they didn't
Mhm.
announce like a new platform for NSO yet. There's no Game
Right.
Boy. There's no. So I would think that's what they would do to continue to add value to it, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, and I'm just assuming because I think it would be pretty bad if it wasn't on the expansion pack when they put Octo expansion on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what I was thinking too. There's a precedent, at least for the series, to be on expansion pass. So yeah, we'll see.
Hmm.
Very cool. Yeah, it's exciting times. Nintendo by far has the best lineup of the fall. I mean, they have banger after banger. I'm excited for Bayonetta 3. Mark's excited for Pokemon. A lot of stuff happening there. But let's talk about, beyond that, other games we've been playing. So, Cheesy, anything else you've been playing?
I jump into Rocket League here and there.
Oh,
Um,
good.
yeah, but not really playing anything else than Splatoon 3. Like tomorrow, I think is when you can check your hours, and I'm just really afraid to look at that screen. Uh, my wife, she played the Skywalker saga on Switch, so we've been kind of
Oh,
on
nice.
a Star Wars kick now. We're finishing up Clone Wars tonight. But yeah, I think that game ran a lot better than what people were saying. It's not obviously better than what you play on PlayStation or Xbox, but it's fine. It works. It's funny. It
Mhm.
gets the job done. Like, you know, get,
I have that game on Xbox, and I've been waiting for it to go on sale again on Switch
Mhm.
because I know I missed the last sale. Because the Lego games are games that I like to pick on or pick at on Switch. They're fine and great when they're running smoothly and have high
Mhm.
fidelity on an Xbox and whatever. But for me, I like being able to fire something or like watch the Star Wars movies on TV while I'm kind of like playing through the funny silly versions
Uh-huh.
on Switch. So I think that's a great place for them, and I don't regret getting it for Xbox first, but I'm definitely itching for it to go on sale.
Yeah, some of the cutscenes would pause, but the audio would keep
Mhm.
going, and it's like I don't remember this part of Phantom Menace. But no, no, it still it works. It's fun. Yeah.
Workable. Cool.
Very cool. So, Mark, I
Mhm.
hope you're not going to go down the Monster Hunter rabbit hole, my friend.
I don't know, man. It's tempting. My brother's been super into it. He just finished the story mode, and he's like, after the story mode is when things get good. He's like, I need someone to play it with. Do you ever get? And I got into the Monster Hunter for Wii, I
Mm.
think, back in the day. I got pretty into it, but didn't really have anyone to play it with. So I finished the story and just kind of let it go. So for this one, he was like, there's a Rise Sunbreak demo. Download that. See if any of the weapons really feel right to you. And the game's on sale right now for the next like 15 days or something like that. So I got the demo yesterday. I've tried out maybe 4 or 5 different weapons, and like 2 of them really clicked with me, the bow especially. And he uses the hammer, so he's kind of like up front, like blunt force trauma. So if I use the bow and we started playing online, it'd be like up close trauma with a little bit of, me picking things off in the distance. And I think that'd be a cool combo. And I haven't really like played a game with my brother like that for a while, so I'm really thinking about it. I might have to jump in. He said it only took him about 20 hours to finish the story mode, so I might be able to blow through that pretty quickly and get to the end game content with him pretty readily. So I'm teetering on the edge, but I think I'll own that by the end of the week. So I've been trying that out. So if you play Monster Hunter Rise, I haven't played one for years, so give me some tips and tell me which weapons I should try.
It's got that cool mechanic. I think it's called I can't remember. It's like the bug thing where it's ultimately like your Spider-Man. That looked cool.
Yeah, it's neat. It is neat to use, and I like your little animal sidekicks. It's definitely appealing.
Palamute, right? Is it Palamute?
Mm-hmm. The Palamute, and then there's the dog
Palico?
and the cat. You get both.
Palico.
Yeah. And then Todd and I, we played Bigscreen. Not really played, but like hung out in the metaverse or whatever.
It was very weird.
Oculus, Bigscreen, and we were just watching Rick and Morty, and I put
Chatting.
us in a theater, and then in a spaceship, and then at a campsite with a big floating screen in front of us playing Rick and Morty, and we were just like chilling in our little Oculuses and chatting and having some laughs. It was good.
Yeah, and I kept on trying to change my avatar until I found one I liked. And I was just entertaining Mark because I was a Viking with like 3D glasses, and I was like, "What am I doing? I don't know."
I really enjoyed when you made your torso the busty female, but your head was still kind of like, I think you still had the Viking horns and then the 3D glasses on and a beard and like pigtails or something. That was a weird randomizer right there. But she was, you were ample. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I thought my avatar from the Facebook Beyond thing would come through, or whatever its Horizons would come through, but nope. It was like, oh, you're just this weirdo. And I'm like, okay, I'll be the weirdo.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to fix this. Oh no, I hit red. It's like
very weird. Yes.
Just like it was great.
Mark looked cool and I did not. Let's just say it that way. But yeah, it was fun until my headset basically died. So then I'm like, gotta go, Mark. Sorry. But very cool experience. And I broke it out again. I need a better place to play. I almost hit my new TV when I was doing a game. No. So I'm like, I got to figure some place to do this. Because
when you were I was sitting down on my couch the whole time watching Rick and Morty, man. I think you were playing that experience, Robert. You were playing something else, right?
It was. No, I was playing, I forgot what I was playing. I was playing Racket NX, which is a very cool like racquetball game. Where it's very fun. It's really much like Breakout almost, where you're hitting the racket to hit spots and targets, and you get so much health, and it's in 360, of course. So as I'm spinning around and doing stuff, and as I swung like that, I'm like, oh crap, that's my new OLED. I better be careful. Oh, no. That's not a good place to be. Even though you've got the Guardian effect, the fact is your hand could go beyond the Guardian. So it needs to probably go in my guest bedroom, where the only thing that could hurt is a crappy 19-inch Vizio. So that's probably safer than around expensive things. So yeah, I just need a good place for it. And then my utility room gets set up, then I'm good to go, and I can just whack around. Sorry, that sounds bad. No whacking. Oh, well. And then just lastly for me, I've been struggling with my old laptop. It's 2 years old and it's a gaming laptop. Can't play crap. I tried playing Metal Hellsinger on Xbox Game Pass, which is essentially a rhythm shooter or a rhythm melee game, which looks really cool, but not when it's like 2 frames per second. Because you can't do rhythm games when you're not in sync. Did not do well, but I'm like, okay, I'll try it on. And thankfully, my son just built a new gaming PC, so maybe I'll just use his, like he's been using my consoles for the last 10 years. That's lacquer. So he bought it himself, so I'll probably use it. It's a really good gaming PC. But then a game I was able to play on my PC, which is You Suck at Parking. This is on Xbox Game Pass, also on Game Pass Ultimate on PC. And it's a game where all you have to do is park your car. The problem is, as soon as you hit the brake, you stop and you don't go any further. You lose. And you basically are going around really fast. It looks almost like RC Pro-Am is the best way to describe it. Very cartoonish little car. You're going around and you have to just time your acceleration as you slow down and then brake at the right time. As soon as you brake, you stop. And you've got essentially all of these courses to go. They make it more difficult, though, because now you've got jumps and you got to jump up and then you've got to get two cars on the same parking spot. And it's goofy, it's dumb, and it's also timed. So to make it more difficult, why don't we add time in it, right, guys? Because everybody loves time as a constraint because it doesn't make you nervous at all. It doesn't screw you up. It doesn't make you, like not actually be a good gamer. So yeah, it's very cute. It is a game that I think would work well on mobile, to be honest. Because I think the way it is, it's very cartoonish. It's not precision. It's pretty much just gas. Just kind of go in and hit the parking spot. You don't have to be completely parked well either. You can just be touching the parking spot and you get points, and that's what it is. It's almost like golf in a way. So that's pretty it's just trying to get to the spot. So I highly recommend it if you just want to try something out for fun. I wouldn't pay the $20 for the game, but for a game on Xbox Game Pass, mobile, however you want to play, I think it would be definitely well worth the experience.
It sounds like a good time. Can you ease into the brake, or as soon as you hit the brake, you're done?
It's a one tap and you're done. And they don't even, it's brutal that way because you're like, and it almost feels like, what was it? Trials, that game Trials where you had the motorcycle. Right. Kind of like that, but it's exact opposite because you really can only go fast. Uh-huh. It's like people like, I only like games where I don't use the brake. This is that game for you then. You don't want to use the brake, but it's goofy and it's fun. And you can like decorate your car. It's very much like a simplistic looking car. There's apparently going to be like a season pass. I don't know what that means because I'm like, it's going to have more courses maybe. But it's I think it's the perfect game for Game Pass. It's just something fun to play, give to your kid, try it out, have fun with your friends, pass the controller. Can you do better than I did? I think it's that perfect type of experience.
Awesome.
So, yeah. I was not good at it, but that's not surprising. I'm not very good at games. So, I know, Mark. Gasp and swoon.
Yep.
Okay, well, we are almost done, but we just wanted to touch on something I think is very important. And this is going to be more of a round robin in regards to a topic that I thought was very poignant. And that is, what is the future of games journalism? So for a lot of folks, if you're not a YouTuber, if you're not a Twitch streamer, but you just want to write about games, be in journalism, or do reviews, gaming is a great area to go into because there's so many people are passionate. It's one of the biggest industries in the world of media. But to actually get published, to get noticed, to find a company that can support you, to get healthcare, all these things, those avenues are shrinking because this week we had multiple areas of gaming journalism essentially experiencing significant layoffs. We had Fanbyte, which is a bunch of diverse creators. Apparently was owned by Tencent. Imran Khan is one of the people that's most well known from Kind of Funny, who was hosted there, was laid off as he was actually finding out about as he was getting on an airplane. We also had G4, which just started a year ago. It's owned by Comcast Universal, one of the biggest media companies in the world. They were all in, and now they're pulling back because apparently it's not as lucrative as they thought it would be. And then we also had Game Informer, which is owned by the parent company of GameStop, and they're actually headquartered in my neck of the woods, Minneapolis. A lot of the folks there, Alex Van Aken works for them, and unfortunately, and they're one of the biggest video game magazines that still exists. Folks, magazine still exists, and there was a lot of layoffs there back in June. So it's kind of precarious. If you are into journalism and want to write, it's very hard to find a place that's safe where you can make a living at it these days, which is just a big challenge. If if you're not a YouTube guy, you're not a personality, you don't like being behind the camera. But this is very similar for all journalism. So what do you gentlemen think? I mean, is this something like, do you think there is a future for the world of game journalism? And Cheesy, why don't you go ahead? Because I mean, you're in the Twitch realm. You're a streamer, so you're basically you've got a different focus than you're not when you stream. I'm sure you're not talking about the merits of like journalism or citing sources and things like that. So, what do you think of journalism though when it comes to games? I mean, do you find it still a valuable thing in the hobby you love?
I mean, it should be. It should be a valuable thing. It's. I don't know if I really can talk on the topic. It seems more complicated than what we know or what I know anyway. But what I can say is, articles are being posted every single day, and people only care about the headlines. And so, like, journalism is not really like people aren't really reading the articles to see what people have to say, or at least, like I think most are just retweeting a catchy headline and then talking about that, but they don't want to actually go in and read it. Um, and we're looking at uh, maybe this isn't a great example, but look at how Instagram is now. They don't even want you to like share your story about your photo. How you could put a caption. They just want more videos like TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that it is going more in the direction of streaming and content creation, which is really weird that G4 is having that problem since they started out as a cable network. Um, and it seemed like they were ahead of the time back in the day. You had X Play, Attack of the Show, Digital Playground, um, all just really good shows for something that wasn't even around. Honestly, there weren't a lot of people that were creating video game content. Um, so, like I said, I don't know if I'm intelligent enough to speak on the topic of game journalism, but it's incredibly sad what is happening to people that just want to write for a living about the thing that they love, and that's being taken away from them.
Yeah, Mark, I mean, you're a little bit older than Cheesy. I'm older. I'm the oldest. I'm an elder, I guess, at this point. But I mean, when it comes to how you get your news and how you digest video game content that's not when you're playing, does it still hold a place for you outside of the headlines and the hot takes?
Uh, Not as much as it used to. Like written content, not as much as it used to. I mean, I still check the video game headlines on my Apple News subscription. I still like reading things on my iPad, and I have the big iPad specifically for that purpose, so I can read things that feel like a magazine or an article, a big, something to have in my hand and read. But a lot of the stuff that I get is through video content, whether that's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is. So I think with all of these, I mean, to Cheesy's point, and Cheesy, I don't think intelligence has anything to do with being
No.
able to talk about this. I think it's so new and it's changing so quickly that I think anyone is going to have some trouble talking about this. But for my 2 cents, I think it's important to consider maybe how all of these places are going about their content, and it sucks no matter what. When people lose their jobs, it's always terrible. And you have to wonder, like, for me anyway, I kind of wonder, what is there an underlying problem that can be addressed that's not simply laying people off, or not simply the answer is nobody wants written content. Maybe the answer now is discoverability. I used to go to a website, type in IGN.com or N64.com if you're that much of an IGN fan that you remember that. Now, to see an article, like I said, it has to be retweeted, or it has to be a video that I see and then I want to read more. And a lot of these sites and places aren't doing that. And I saw something from IGN earlier today that was like, oh, they're catching on. They know that I have to see a video first, and then I'm going to go read an article about that. And I'm going to go to IGN to read that. So my question is, are not enough places catching on to what it takes for discoverability nowadays? And that's a problem anywhere. Like Twitch has terrible discoverability. So you see Twitch people going over to TikTok or going on podcasts or doing whatever to be like, hey, go follow me on Twitch, where I'm hopefully going to get some subscribers and making some money. But they're also taking content and putting it to places where hopefully the algorithm will help them be discovered. And, I don't know if there's enough websites that you get someone who's good at writing, team that person up with someone who's good at producing video, and maybe both of them can make some money and do what they love and what they want. And I'm not seeing that enough in the industry. And I'm not trying to be like, well, good, people are losing their money, maybe they'll catch on. No, it sucks. It really sucks. It's heartbreaking. But I hope people that want to write about video games will continue to write about video games, and get picked up by places or start new places. Like IGN was started by a couple of guys that wanted to write about this, and yeah, they had some backing, but that changed hands here, there, and everywhere, and they've stuck with it and they've made it work. And it's been a lot of tenacity. But I think that's a website that they jumped on podcasts when that was becoming popular. They saw video. They're constantly kind of evolving along with things. Like I said today, I saw a YouTube short from IGN. I was like, yeah, I'm jumping on to read that thing. It's about the new season of Fortnite, if that matters. But yeah, so I'm wondering if this is just one of those industry / content / generational media shifts that happens, and it sucks and it's hard, but people figure it out, and that this is an exciting time. Hopefully after this is when the people who are down on their luck and went through this pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and come up with the next way to do stuff. So I hope that we see a lot of that, because right now it sucks and it's hard. But I hope people get through it and stick with it and do something better. That back to Nintendo's point, do something better that we don't know that we want yet.
It's going to be interesting, because if we think about video game journalism, a lot of it started from Nintendo Power, if a lot of people think. And that wasn't journalism. That was advertisement for Nintendo property. They own the magazine. So it was really propaganda for Nintendo. Where it's interesting, where G4, I feel like the current incarnation has really failed. They've just basically tried to create podcasts for TV, which there's already a place for that. So, and what I think they did very good back in the day was try to be differential in the world of geek and things like that. When I've watched their content now, like I said, X-Play just feels like another thing. It doesn't feel like it would what used to be, which was a highly produced video game show. We don't have a lot of that. We don't have a lot of highly produced video game content. G4 Icons was great. It was the history of video games. Why didn't they do that? Nobody else is doing that. Nobody else is doing a great job on talking about the history of video games in a very well done. We've got some good documentaries on video games, but they're a rarity. And I just feel like there are opportunities to use the medium, and it's not just a guy just giving his opinion. I don't think we need more people's opinions, to be honest. I know we give our opinions all the time, but there's a billion people doing that. I want people to go deep on things. I want people to tell us why things matter. I don't need, like I said, I think we don't need more YouTubers doing the same thing. And I hope we can figure that. And the problem with that is we've got too many people and too much noise. So how do you get discoverability, Mark? But unfortunately, right now it's the dog that barks the loudest. It's not the best content all the time. It's not the cream that rises to the top. It's the Jake Paul. Jake Paul is a garbage bag human, but he has 1 billion followers. PewDiePie. Could say with him, but it was like, so I'd like to have a balance of how do we get the quality over just the most entertaining. Entertaining doesn't have to be good. My son watches a ton of YouTubers, and most of them are horrible. And they scream a lot, and they say, "Oh my god," 24/7 from a parent's role. But I just want to know, how do we get quality produced entertainment that is knowledgeable, teaches you something, and does something else that nobody else is doing? And like I said, J4 kind of failed in that context because I watched Attack of the Show. Attack of the Show was just a bunch of stupid human pet tricks. They were doing like these goofy games and things. I'm like, that's not entertaining. That is just silly. And you're competing against folks that probably do it better, that have a bigger following. So I don't know. I just think we're not going to go back the way it was, like when I was reading magazines and all that stuff. But ultimately, is there even an audience for journalism for games? Maybe that's what we have to decide. Is it really something that people want? If it's not, then maybe we just got to stop barking at that tree and just say it is what it is. Video games will just be fun and entertaining. They don't have to be something they shouldn't be if people don't care. I don't know.
I mean, I think it just evolves. I mean, you have video games that are better shown, on like a YouTube video or streaming. But you can have these writers write for content creators that do like video essays. There can be some really entertaining video essays, and I think the problem today is getting yourself out in front of a camera or even just like on social media in general, and having a personality or showing your personality. Like, why should people care about the things that you care about? And you have to show that. And for some people, that's just not that easy, and they would rather stay behind a keyboard and just be a secret to everyone else. And I it's hard because you want people to do the thing that they love, but at the same time, you do have to adapt to what is now. And I don't know. I do think that there probably are some things that are untapped that people are looking into right now, like what Mark was saying, and we'll find out what that is.
Yeah. And it's not just video game journalism. I mean, it's journalism across the board. Who buys newspapers anymore?
Yeah.
There's magazines that die every week, every month. It's
movie reviews and TV shows.
Right.
Like, you don't really need that. You just watch somebody talk about their favorite series and what worked for them, what didn't. There's a ton of TikTok creators that are doing that right now.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be, people that do it differently, people that do take a more retrospective or introspective look at things, or a broader look, or those people who will chase down a story rather than just like, hey, I made a rumor up because my uncle works at Nintendo and you should listen to me, and I'm going to scream about it until you do. Those people will always exist, and tabloids have always existed before that. And, you always get the crazy people yelling on a soapbox even before that, so like that's always existed. But there's a part of integrity with journalism that I think can transcend different boundaries and genres and stuff like that I think can't go away. So whatever it is that it evolves into, to Cheezy's point, like I think it has to stick around in some way, whether that's teaming up with someone and one person's the writer, the other person's the person on camera, or one person's the researcher, and it's a small team, but it can be a flexible team and a team with different specialties. But I can't imagine a world that doesn't have that kind of integrity in their research and their I'll say writing, but it doesn't necessarily just have to be written content.
No, I think there's a lot there. I think it's adapting to the times, as we've said. I mean, it's finding out a way to reach people, but and that's the hard part. How do you crack that nut and it's probably asking more from the the pillars of who we would say are the gaming gods or the gaming journalist gods, the IGNs, saying, "Hey, you've got our ear. Show us what the best of gaming journalism can be because you've got all the eyes. If you're just doing for clicks and things like that, you're going to go away eventually because somebody's going to get more clicks than you. So we need to move forward. And to your point, we want the next best journalists to tell us what matters in gaming and why this game mattered and the history of how it was made. Because I think there's a lot there, and I think a lot of people are going to be hungry, especially as gaming grows up. A lot of people want to know who their creators are and how they came up with it. I mean, think about Undertale, the tale of Toby Fox, and how he became and his game became one of the biggest games in the world, based on just him and his love of other games. So there's stories to tell, and we just want people to tell them and not just have people, do those wacky videos on YouTube.
Well, then the companies need to let the artists do what they do best and not have restrictions. Let them really shine in whatever it is, in whatever format it is. Just let them be who they are. I mean, there's a reason why they got into the industry of journalism to begin with, right? So just let them do their own thing.
Well, there's a lot on the subject. We just scratched the surface. And I think, I guess the next request is for those folks that are listening, if you have creators that are doing something unique in games, telling stories in games, tell us who those people are. Point us in the right direction, and we'll share those, and we'll talk more about those on future episodes. So I think that wraps up the show. Cheezy, thank you for coming on. And so before you leave us, it's been a pleasure. Tell people how they can find you around the interwebs.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, CheezyC64, CheezyC64. I make Nintendo content. I talk about Splatoon lore. So we'll be talking about that a lot. But yeah, you can kind of find me everywhere.
Very cool.
What's the podcast name that people can look up?
I'm sorry? The podcast is the Nintendo Powercast. It's me and three other guys.
There we go.
Yeah.
Very cool. When I saw the C64 in your name, I thought of Commodore 64.
A lot of people do. Yeah. It's actually just because I wanted to be a parody rapper in high school and I needed a funny name. So I, like Weird Al, went with Cheezy C, and Eazy-E was one of the best rappers of all time. So that's kind of how that became a thing. And then it became a gamer tag.
Our other podcast host is Charlie Carden. I called him Sleazy C in college, so there you go.
There you go. Nice.
That's fantastic.
Yes. Well, awesome. Well, thanks again. Mark, thanks for joining us again on this wonderful journey we do every 2 weeks. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me everywhere, same places pretty much, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and our Discord at _Canardian, or on Xbox and Switch as just Canardian. Hit me up. Let's play some Splatoon. Let's watch some Rick and Morty in the metaverse and have some fun.
Excellent. Or being a guinea pig on snacking these days.
Oh man, yeah. Go over to the Snack Network. Watch my friends and I did the one chip challenge. If you want to watch me suffer, Snack Network, hit them up. Highly entertaining. I thought I considered, a friend of mine had an extra one, and I considered having another go at it because I choked during it, like actually on the chip. So even before the heat hit me, I was having a bad time. Because I was actually choking on like the Dorito part of it. And then the heat hit me. And boy, I'll tell you, if you've ever seen the show Hot Ones, last year we tried to bomb, and I thought that was hot. I would bathe in that stuff before I ate another one of these chips. Although, like I just said, I'm thinking about doing it again. So yeah, it's a fun video. Go check them out at the Snack Network.
Very, very good. And for me, at Teoxtra on Twitter. That's primarily where I live, and we're also in the Discord group having a good time. So anything is up for grabs in our Discord, so please join us and just have a good time. So, and thanks for all the folks in our Discord and all the folks we interact online. And Mark, fun fact, my most liked tweet in most recent days was me talking about Food Network and Halloween Wars. So there you go. That's where I live too, talking about Food Network shows. I'm an old man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is it for the show. And remember, folks, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.